Because I was going to ask who inspires you, or, if there are podcasts that you listen to, or.
There are several people. He's certainly one of them. I actually don't listen to fitness stuff all that often.
What do you like to listen to?
I get enough of that. I like to listen to books and or podcasts that sort of are fringy. They're in sort of the health space, but it might be fringy, right? So for example, I think a brilliant guy is a guy named Naval Ravikant, who is kind of a modern day philosopher. He's an investor. He's really brilliant at a lot of things, but he has these really short, brief podcasts that are very philosophical. I'm listening to a book now by James Nestor called Breathe.
We were talking about that on the podcast.
Yeah, these are not fit. I mean, they're not fitness in the sense of like what the history of CrossFit was, or what the best technique for teaching a snatch is, but they are certainly things that I can expose my members to that might lead them to overall longevity.
Have you listened to the Huberman Lab?
He is on my list. I haven't actually started any of those, but I've started subscribing to his stuff because it is right up my alley. It's right where the space that I want to learn from. The sleep one, I really want to dive into the sleep.
Yeah. He just had someone on. It was not James Nestor, but it was somebody about breathing, which also was so eye-opening of like, you're supposed to take 4 to 6 breaths a minute. It's like, oh, that's not me.
Yep. Yeah. It's fascinating. It's nobody in a CrossFit gym. I mean, if you watch members in a CrossFit gym, I mean, they mouth breathe from the time the warm-up starts.
And yeah,
and today we did 7 rounds of 250 meter row straight into a snatch and 4 snatch grip push press, and then some rest, a minute and a half rest. But we were just breathing through our nose, inhale, exhale the whole time. I don't know if it was just supposed to be the rowing or the whole time.
I actually on that one probably could have been all time, but Ann, you're making the face that is absolutely true. The first time you do that, you think I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
I'm gonna die.
And then you start, just like with any other stressor that you put your body through, it becomes a little easier and you adapt and you become a little bit more efficient at it. And then all of a sudden you can go through an entire 14, 20-minute AMRAP at a pace that you would probably be going at anyway, just breathing through your nose. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing.
I have to practice this more.
It is absolutely a skill that you need to practice. I mean, if you're going to do it, it is something that needs to be done deliberately over time. It's not something that's just going to happen.
One of our coaches, who's younger, just got this mouthpiece thing that helps you, like.
Is it the 29% better one? I have a coach that has.
I don't know, but she just did the other day. She was on the assault bike at zone 2. With her heart rate, with that mouth thing. And so she was only breathing through her nose for 45 minutes.
And I mean, it's just such a great
intense.
It's such a great, like, that was such a great session for so many reasons. Zone 2, 45 minutes, nasal breathing, all of it.
Why is it important to do the nasal breathing?
Well, I'm certainly not going to try to speak on all of the science. And some of the stuff in James Nestor book that I had heard before. I had also listened to a book a couple of years ago, The Oxygen Advantage by Patrick McKeown, I think's how you say his last name. And it talked about nasal breathing as well, but the release of nitric oxide, the increase in carbon dioxide, which allows oxygen to actually reach the muscles and through hemoglobin, which if you are over breathing, it won't happen. So it's sort of a little bit of a counterintuitive process there. He talks about your mouth not growing in a way that is designed to grow because you're breathing through your mouth. So the muscles and the soft tissues around all of the sinus areas don't sort of grow in the way they're designed to grow. And so that's why you have crooked teeth. It's why you have jaws that are not forward growing, but are
and like narrow and pushed back.
And so there's I'm sure there's he could name off 100 more outcomes. When you hear this, it's crazy. I mean, it's so fascinating to hear all of the outcomes from something like just as simple as shutting your mouth and breathing through your nose. It's crazy.
It sounds like with the oxygen, it sounds like what you're saying is it actually does improve your performance once
There's
you learn
no
to
question.
do it. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's no question.
And then if you start practicing some of these techniques where you're closing your mouth and you're putting the tongue in the proper position, you can actually change your entire facial structure.
Yeah.
There are evolutionary orthodontists that you don't get braces. You do all these exercises.
Oh, weird.
It's
All
so
of the
cool.
there was Nestor talks about a lab in I think it was in Pennsylvania, that had all of these skulls from all of the cultures across, however many years. I mean, it could have been thousands and dozens of thousands of years, and not one of them had imperfect teeth. All of them had perfect teeth, and they didn't have dentists or floss
and they didn't get their wisdom teeth yanked out.
Yeah, a lot of it's
they were able
diet, eating.
Yeah, and it was breathing. Like, I certainly can't do justice for all of the outcomes that process could benefit, but it is certainly something that I try to practice myself. And I am now thinking about how I can teach my kids to do this without being invasive, because of, their prime growing stages at this point. So if we can sort of get ahead of that, then the poor gym owner won't have to pay for braces.
Sometimes multiple times of braces too.